Ah, the Illuminati. That's what that is. That's the Illuminati flag.
Forward with infrastructure, now led by Senator Bill Cassidy.
I really do think we need an infrastructure package. That's good. But you got to pay for it, and you got to make sure that what we're paying for is absolutely essential and not some fluff that just pays off a political base.
Republicans are focused on roads, bridges, ports, and broadband. In addition to those, Democrats want to see investments in schools, childcare, and what they call human infrastructure. The Biden administration says the game plan remains unchanged, and the president sees progress.
He's quite familiar with the fact that this process it takes some patience at times, that there are going to be moments where we're near death and then it comes back.
The Senate leadership continues to tussle over who has the upper hand.
Americans across the country expect their government to make progress on big issues, even if we don't agree on everything.
Remember, the Senate is 50-50. American people did not hand the Democrats a mandate in the Senate.
The White House says President Biden will remain engaged with his domestic agenda, especially infrastructure, throughout his 8-day overseas trip. Caroline Shively, Fox 5 News.
President Biden is set to meet with leaders.
All-Star game out of Cobb to Denver, and it's seeking to either move the game back to Truist Park or $100 million in damages for local and state small businesses. Major League Baseball initially moved the game back in April following backlash over Georgia's controversial voting law. The hearing begins at 3 p.m. tomorrow in New York City. Some good news for you tonight.
Thousands of small monitors.
This is first globe-like display in the world.
All showing how the Earth looks from space in real time using satellite information.
From there, I can collaborate with a lot of institute or university, and we can get a lot of type of data.
From there, it's all about the robots. Like these ancient relics that date way back to around 2014. Cutting edge in their day, replicating human movements and human interactions. But the star of the show
a lot of people love the astronauts.
Is a little robot named Asimo. Built by Honda way back.
There's some ill intentions out there. So.
During a work trip in Atlanta last month, James Leonard says he was approached by a young guy on Ponce de Leon Avenue while waiting for a ride. The guy said he'd been in a fight and needed to call his grandma to pick him up.
I was kind of ignorant enough to let them use my phone.
He says the call was brief, but it turned out to be just enough time to rob Leonard through his Venmo app.
He attempted to move almost $10,000 from both the my personal bank account and from the Venmo app.
A police report shows the thief ended up transferring $714. The Atlanta Police Department says these kinds of thefts are starting to pop up more, but says there are ways to still be a good Samaritan without becoming a victim of fraud. Politely decline requests to use your phone. Instead, offer to call 911 for the person in the event of a true emergency. Other tips include adding additional security measures to payment apps, like a PIN number, passcode, and facial recognition.
I was fortunate enough to get the money back, but once the money did become available to me in my Venmo account, my Venmo account remained frozen, which it still is.
Venmo says it is working to resolve the matter.
On the scene here on 285 eastbound, they have 2 lanes blocked, and this has been going on since before 3 p.m. this afternoon. We have very little information so far about what led up to this police chase and shooting, but what we do know is it started on Godby Road, came here onto the highway, and then ended just down here. You can barely see over the hill there, where a Georgia State Patrol trooper and a suspect fired at each other. Thankfully, we do know the trooper is okay. We don't yet have an update on the condition of the suspect. The Georgia State Patrol gave us a very brief update just a few hours ago. And so we're still waiting to hear more information from the GBI. They're the ones who are investigating this crime scene. We don't yet have a lot of details from them, but we do expect this will still be an active scene for many more hours as they try and figure out.
Suspect shot by the state police wanted in DeKalb County for shooting 2 people. It never fails. Suicide by cop.
Commission to oversee state redistricting. But according to NBC News, not all 50 Senate Democrats are on board. Supporters like Georgia U.S. Senator, the Reverend Raphael Warnock, is now saying that the bill is critical to ensure all Americans equal access to the ballot.
We have to make sure that black people can vote, that brown people can vote, that young people can vote, that women can vote. We've got to make sure that everybody has a voice in their democracy and that working people have access to the polls. That's why we got to have drop-off boxes. That's why we got to have early voting.
Most Democrats also are supporting
Passion laws in 47 states to take preeminence in our nation. We have the power to stop it in its tracks. If corporate America would take its rightful place by coming out in support of the passage of the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act and even before the People's Act. The group
Police are looking for a 2016 to 2021 Honda Civic four-door car that struck the pair as they crossed Milton Avenue at North Main Street. Police are on the lookout again for this vehicle, they believe, that severely injured a person. Tonight, in an 11 Alive exclusive, we hear from one of the victims who says she has a very long recovery. Campaign Finance Commissioner's website. Formal qualifying for the mayor's race happens later this year. The election is on November 2nd, not that far away. Still ahead.
25% income tax rate, but just a 1% tax on his net worth. The IRS commissioner telling lawmakers his main focus at this point, finding out how ProPublica got its hands on individual tax records and making sure it doesn't happen again.
We will find out about the ProPublica article, but we do have quite a few systems in place. And I would say for the volume of data that we have and that gets exchanged, I think the IRS has been very successful in protecting that data.
President Biden says he wants to change the tax code, including eliminating what he calls the trust fund loophole, used by the wealthy to pass investments and assets to their heirs without paying taxes. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox 5 News.
But they got busted. James Quincy, Coca-Cola. Stop poisoning our children. Serve your customers, not woke politicians.
Free donuts.